So Gordon Ramsay has turned on vegans, but in a good way. This was not on my bingo card for 2025, but Gordon Ramsay is encouraging people to skip the cow. Yes, the man who once fed vegetarians meat for views is now an ambassador for getting people to ditch dairy. This is the sort of evolution we need. But yeah, basically the story is Gordon Ramsay is now working with Flora, who ditched dairy, who are encouraging people to skip the cow, and they're working on this together. We're going to talk about this in this video. Does this mean that he's gone vegan? Do we think his motives are genuine? Is he following the cash, or is he actually going a bit more plant-based? And just talk about why this is so surprising. Because if you grew up in the noughties, I can guarantee you'll remember Gordon Ramsay for swearing at people and thinking very little of vegetarians and giving us very little respect if you chose to not eat meat.
I know they may be vegetarian, but they deserve better than that.
Did you like the foie gras? Did you like it?
I'm a vegetarian.
You're vegetarian? Did you not get the message? Vegetarians aren't welcome.
Vegetarian. Bloody hell.
So this is what makes it a very interesting switch. Yeah, but I feel like growing up, he was the chef most likely to say like vegetarians not welcome. In his TV show, he could be found like serving vegetarians a soup using a chicken stock or hiding parma ham into a seemingly margarita pizza and then pulling a prank on a vegetarian when they enjoyed the pizza, and he'd be like, ha, got ya, you vegetarian. You like meat. And this was just the humour in the 2000s, you know, we were definitely a lot more of the butt of the joke and not very respected, and I think people just thought it was silly rather than actually understanding that it's a belief that needs to be respected. And these days we are like legally held as a belief in the UK, so people can't actually do stuff like this to us anymore. And it kind of makes you wonder as well, and in hindsight, to be honest, I doubt he was sincerely doing this. I reckon it was all kind of set up. I think we're a lot less in tune to reality TV, or maybe it was just that I was young, but in the 2000s, like, that thought didn't really enter your mind as much, whereas now, looking back at it, I'm like, they probably weren't vegetarians going in. That was all probably staged with actors, and no one was eating meat they didn't want to, right? But still, it was presented as reality, presented as a joke, and I think that was really damaging, dangerous, disrespectful. It gave people the idea that to sneak meat into a vegetarian's food was like for their own good and funny, whereas that's definitely not the tone anymore and definitely not what should ever have been accepted or thought to be a joke worth laughing at or even broadcasting on the main channels. But in the last few years, especially when I've seen him like crop up on TikTok, he has actually been shifting to veganism. Like, this Flora campaign isn't a complete 180. He's definitely like made signs towards this in the past, from trying out new recipes and being like, I'm going vegan for a day. I think he's understood that it can be kind of gimmicky and everything. Although actually, before I get onto that, I do want to mention, as someone who's been vegan since like 2007, I remember for one of my aunt's big birthdays, she really wanted to go to like a celebrity restaurant. I think they were just very in around like the early 2010s. And I'm very confident this was 2012 this happened. But she was just trying to book somewhere that we could go for dinner and celebrate her big birthday, and obviously she wanted me to be able to go. And she messaged like every celebrity chef with a restaurant in London, and the only one that would cater to a vegan was Jamie Oliver. And that one, I don't think that was really the one she wanted to go to either. So this is why I've always got such my respect for my family. Not only have I been vegan a very long time, but they've also had to deal with this for a very long time. So I'm always so grateful. But yeah, Gordon Ramsay was one of the ones that was like, absolutely fucking not. Not him himself, just the restaurants, you know, they weren't having it. So I think that's quite an interesting anecdote of how much times have changed in like the last 10 years. But yeah, like I say, I feel like whether or not it's because he's been on TikTok or because he's got a family himself, like his daughter Tilly is around similar age to me. I actually met her once, she was lovely. It was only a hello, but she seemed nice. And I think he just has a bit more of a connection to like Gen Z and the concerns of people that age and the concerns of the climate. And I wouldn't be surprised if he has actually kind of learned about the necessity of us to go a bit more plant-based. So I don't see him going vegan anytime soon, but I wouldn't be too surprised if he actually understands that a shift needs to happen, you know, and trying to find a way to kind of do his part in making a better future for not just himself, but his children, and finding his role in that, you know?
Hello TikTok. Now, over the past year, you've turned me slightly vegan.
It's vegan.
Everyone in my house is going vegetarian. So, you know, on steak night, it can be a lonely night.
I don't think you have to go vegan to prove you care about the environment. I think any sort of shift can help. So the fact that he has embraced veganism and kind of given it a try in the last few years kind of has shown how his attitude has evolved. And of course there's a chance of them doing it because it's trendy. I really hope it's not, because often when people do vegan-y things for the trends, that's exactly why they're doing it. They'll preach about its benefits whilst it's popular, and then the second the next thing comes along, they'll slam everything about veganism in aid of promoting their new big shiny trend that they're gonna earn off of and profit off of. I hope it's not that, but I do really feel like this has been like a gradual transition, and it kind of It kind of adds up to me. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And Flora themselves are quite an interesting example. Like, they used to be like dairy, you know, and they only recently made the shift to go like 100% vegan. I think they were initially really obvious about it, and then they kind of like stripped it back on the marketing, so people who buy Flora may not really realise they're actually buying vegan butter now, which is quite successful, really. They've just seemed to really double down on this. I can't tell if it's an ethical thing or someone just smelling the trend and trying to like lead in that area, but yeah, Flora have really made a turn. And the ad they've got with Gordon Ramsay is quite sweet, short, cheeky. It's a really good example of like a mainstream brand and a mainstream celebrity that used to be the opposite of vegan, kind of promoting skipping the cow. And I do think that's impactful, and it's a like green light for changing your mind and perspective on these things. The one thing I do want to point out though is that it's definitely very environmentally focused, and I feel like they've actually gone quite far to ensure that you don't mistake this for veganism. First of all, and I do appreciate this, they've really come in with the environmental message and like made it clear. What have they got on their website? Yeah, like on their website they make it very clear that Flora has 72 less climate impact than dairy butter in the UK. To lead with that is very impactful. I think there are a lot of people who are trying to do better for the planet, and I think dairy is actually a really easy and impactful swap. Flora know that, and they're leading with it. And they've also and yeah, I mean, this is a bit disheartening, but like when you go onto the recipe section and you read like what recipe this collab with Gordon Ramsay and Flora is kind of like pushing forward with, is actually scrambled eggs. I don't know if that's because it's a really easy dish that a lot of people love, or it is literally to tell people straight there and then like, this is not for vegans, this is for everyone. And that just really ties in with the rise in flexitarianism that I've been telling you guys about. Like, vegan products like Flora are not actually being sold to vegans anymore. They know we've got us. They're moving on to bigger, better things. Like, we're only this much of the population. People who aren't vegan count for a lot more, and if they can get them buying Flora, that is a lot more money for them. So that's their whole campaign. They are trying to target the people who are climate conscious but don't want to go vegan, which is quite a lot of people. And from a vegan viewpoint, like obviously a cow and a chicken, like we don't want to eat or harm either. But from an environmental viewpoint, a cow is actually a lot worse for the environment than a chicken. So I can kind of see how by going down the environmental angle, they don't actually seem that hypocritical about ditching dairy and skipping the cow without skipping the eggs. Even though from like a moral viewpoint, a vegan viewpoint, it's like, hey, let's cut out both. You know, it does actually line up. It stacks up with their mission statement, even if it's not something I personally feel that comfortable about. And it has been proven time and time again that people get put off by vegans. So if by using the environmental angle gets more people making more plant-based swaps, then it is in turn better for the animals and better for the planet. This is the era of compromise. That's the thing, flexitarians, like, we're gonna watch all this marketing be kind of vegan but not quite there, and it is kind of like the baby steps we need people to take on their way to a vegan future. I know it's not really the pace we want, but at least we are moving forward. And having like vegans and non-vegans as a black and white thing just hasn't gotten us as far as we should do lately. People have felt like it's vegan or nothing, whereas this sort of thing allows for that grey area and allows for people to make like, I don't know, 70% improvement in their diet without feeling dejected and like they're going to give up because they can't do 100. If everyone in the UK did 70%, that is so much better than like 2% of people doing 100. I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you feel happy about this shift? Does it make you feel uncomfortable, but appreciate that it does sound like it might be for the greater good? Or are we just past these baby steps now? Do we need bigger, better, faster change? I think we do need bigger, better changes, but whether or not that can happen, that's the age-old question, isn't it? But yeah, I think this is really impressive, and I just did not have Gordon Ramsay promoting skipping the cow on my bingo card for the year, but I actually think it's a really great partnership. And I think butter is such a good place to start. Like, I've noticed myself with my own family, like I'm the only vegan in my like immediate family, but my sister, whenever I go around her, she's now got Flora in the fridge, and I think a part of her brain does say like, well, if I buy that, it's like affordable, it tastes good, it's a brand I'm familiar with, but also if Nicole's around, I can make her toast. And it's just like those little things do just make it easier to exist as a vegan in the world, and they are the sort of swaps that the everyday person finds the easiest and most accessible, or at least the people I know, that seems to be the way things are going. And I'll be curious to see if you've seen that similar trend for the people who actually are still meat eaters in your life. Like, what swaps have they made? I'd say my sister in particular, she's definitely made swaps with the plant-based butter, and also often has like plant-based meats. Like when it comes to like barbecues and stuff, she's more than happy to make them vegan, and she doesn't really notice the difference. With cheese, not so much, but with the meats and the butters, she's pretty happy with. So it's interesting. I always find it very curious what swaps people adapt to when they're just adopting a few vegan habits, and which ones they're just leaving behind, you know? Yeah, I hope you found this video interesting. I was pretty shocked by the news when I first saw it yesterday, and I was like, yep, I know the topic for tomorrow. So yeah, as always, love to see your comments, love to continue the discussion, and I will see you again tomorrow for the final Veganuary video, and it will be a what I eat in a week. So I'm excited to share with you guys some recipes again. Thank you for watching, and until next time, bye! Mwah.